All right, lovely. So let me just share my screen. Lovely. Okay, great. So two emails there, and I've put my, did everyone be able to access my slides in the chat? You don't need to have opened them, but I got the link in there. That's great. I'll put them in again later. So myself and Ruth Everett supporting SACRE in embedding the scheme this year. We've got a series of meetings throughout the year. There are 9 in total because I'm doing some for Colchester as well. So I've made all of those available. And so today is really just about kind of opening up discussion, troubleshooting, sharing best practice, and just a walkthrough really to make sure everyone's happy with where they're at. But then there's some more targeted, which we developed based on schools' priorities throughout the year, some more targeted sessions. So if you or anybody else wants to join those, that would be great. And I will make the recordings available for people as well. Can I just check? It's been a little while. Can you see that all right? Is that the list? Okay, good. I know everything's doing what it should do. I'm trying to do something different with Zoom today, see. Okay, so in terms of supporting you, firstly, I don't worry about doing this now, but it'd be really helpful for me if you could fill out that form, which will collect some information that will help me to kind of tailor support to you and send you the stuff that you're looking for, and also to know where people have got pockets of good practice, because we would love to get into schools to share what you're doing, but also to support you as well. So there's all kinds of ways that we could do that. You can lift that link from the form, and I'll stick it in the chat again later, and I will email you you all. Yeah, in fact, I should. Yeah, I will email you if you give me, if you fill in that form, then I can send you some bits and bobs. So the first thing to say is that in terms of kind of developing good RE in your schools, I really think drawing upon your experience of the world is really powerful. And Nigel Fancourt was Dr. Nigel Fancourt wrote a paper that used the phrase that RE is not it's people with lived experience of the world, not a dead specimen to be examined. I think sometimes RE can become a little bit like that. You to abstract yourself too far from it. So I was going to share a little bit. There you go. My summer holiday, my busman's summer holiday. A bit of backpacking around North India. A photograph of the Golden Temple in Amritsar there. My wife and I with a boy who was at the temple, who was living at the temple and being supported by the Sikh community there. And in the top right, you've got some Kar Prasad, which is what you get given when you have attended the Golden Temple and you've been to pay your respects to the Guru Granth Sahib, the living, the Guru kind of living through the holy book there. And what you can also get, now there is a point to this, is that I walked away with a couple of packets of these. So this is the Kar Prasad to go. So I've got some Sikh friends, and I thought it'd be nice to bring them that, because the Golden Temple is the kind of place to go to as far as Sikhs are concerned. That's the one you want to go to. So I've brought them some of that. Now I haven't given it to them yet though, and the reason I've not given it to them yet is because there's some Sikh events coming up. So this is the SHAP calendar, right? And I've put a link to that in here. And the SHAP calendar is the best £4 you'll ever spend, I reckon. And so it depends on the time of year, whether it's £4 or £6, if they're trying to get rid of them, you see. But what that gives you is all of the religious events throughout the year. And that on your classroom wall just means that you're constantly making reference. And I think that's, in terms of developing good subject knowledge, if you were to have, I don't know how many you want to buy, but if you've got enough of these, or one person's got one and then just lets people know what's going on. But if you've got that just on your classroom wall and you're constantly paying reference, and you look at, okay, today is Thursday, October the 12th. What's going on today? Well, or near about today. Okay, we've got coming up, we've got a Buddhist event on the 28th. We have got, if we get into, I've lost my Sikhism. There we go. We've got the birthday of Guru Nanak coming up on the 8th of November. Right, and that was when I wanted to give them the Kar Prasad. Anyway, that's just a shameless plug for the SHAP calendar, which is fantastic. And drawing upon what you're doing. So what I wanted to start with was just thinking about what the core of the syllabus is. So if you're using big questions to frame lessons, opening up with those big questions, then you're doing good RE. And I wonder, are you using these three lenses, the philosophy, theology, and social science lenses? That's at the core of good RE, but of core of the syllabus. So the inquiries, if you're starting to run those in your schools, are all about focusing on those, using those lenses to see through the world. And I tend to actually put goggles, I've taken some glasses or goggles, and get students to put on goggles or some kind of eyewear that I will say represents a particular viewpoint. And we can see in those particular ways. So this seeing through lenses is what's at the core of the syllabus, and the purpose of the syllabus focusing on inquiries is getting them to be inquisitive about the world around them. And you'll hear the phrase religious literacy featuring in any sort of high quality discussion about RE. And so we think about people and children being religiously literate. And if these are at the core of what you're trying to do to embed good RE in your school, then you're doing, you're fulfilling the aims of the syllabus. So in June, I asked teachers that attended a meeting then what their priorities were for embedding the new syllabus, and they said these. Now, you have told me what yours are already for this evening, so I won't ask again. SM, who's just joined us, do you want to just come off mute and let us know what you're looking for this evening?
Hi, sorry, I'm a little bit late. I had to pick my children up from school.
That's all right. Oh, is it Shireen?
Yes, it's Shireen. Hi.
There you go. I use process of elimination. Hiya, Shireen. Welcome.
Thank you.
What are you looking to get out for the next 45 minutes?
Anything you can give me. Honestly, I've
Wonderful.
just taken over RE lead from someone else, so as much information as possible.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay, great. Well, I've been through their priorities, so I'm not going to worry about popping these into my slides now. Coming up, in terms of developing subject knowledge for yourself and for others and getting into the RE world and making good contacts, knowing what's going on the 27th and 28th of January is Strictly RE, which is a face-to-face and a virtual conference, which you can get to through the link on my slides that are in the chat. And there's a reduction for all kinds of different reasons, but it's a really good event. I just want to play you.
I've heard about Strictly RE through my NetTrain membership, and the big draw towards it is basically I love the seminars that they do give me a lot of inspiration and ideas for my own RE teaching and my leadership as well.
Heard about Strictly RE through social networking, through friendships that I gathered. Biggest draw to the event are the speakers, seeing new colleagues here, and just the opportunity to socialise and network.
What people have been saying about it for so long, it was so incredible. I thought, you know what, I've got to do it, and I'm so glad that I did, because it's been so worthwhile, and it's been better than I thought it would be by a mile. It's really exceeded my expectations, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to tell everybody else all about it.
Okay, so really, if you haven't, I don't know if any of you attended a Strictly RE before. It's been running a few years now. Anyone been to one of those? All right, well, highly recommend it. And just so in terms of kind of lots and lots of seminars and input for your subject knowledge and your kind of RE skills, it's absolutely fantastic. Robbins, who's just joined us. Hiya. Oh, right, I've got two of you there. I'm just going
Sharon.
Oh, it's sorry, of course, Sharon. Right, you're in here twice, so let's just. Oh, there we go. That should work. Okay, apologies, Sharon. So yeah, Strictly RE, well worth a look if you can. Okay, so in terms of your best practice, we'd be, as I said, really keen to get into your schools. Has anyone got the RE quality mark? Okay, so this is a kite mark that your school can go for, and it's a really, if you take a look at that, what's really helpful is it gives you kind of a what do you need to have in your school to be doing really good RE. So it's a nice checklist that you could have a look at, and you might find that actually, you know, you're really fulfilling. There's a bronze, silver, gold. It's a really lovely thing to have, and it gives you good framework to push good quality RE in your school as well. And if you'd like some support kind of working through that and thinking about, are you ready, then myself or Ruth would be delighted to talk to you and think about, you know, how we might work towards that, or go straight for it if you're ready. So that's worth you knowing. And that would also, if you're leading RE, it might give you a good checklist to be thinking about, okay, these are the things that I want to be doing in order to make sure that RE is as good as it can be in my school. Okay, so just before we get onto the nuts and bolts of the syllabus, just in terms of the purpose behind the new syllabus, it's all about religious literacy. It's all about building balanced human beings going forward from you and into wherever they're going next. And giving them the opportunity to flourish. Socrates is often responsible for kind of popularizing the word eudaimonia, human flourishing, and becoming you know, useful contributing members of society. And we want our students to think deeply using what we call a multidisciplinary lens. So thinking through the lens of theology, thinking through the lens of philosophy, and also through the social sciences, and gluing all of that together. So in terms of what do we mean by worldviews, I'd just like to show you this quick video, which is one commissioned by the RE Council and is attached to a really interesting bit of work that explains why the new syllabus emphasizes religion and world views, where previously we might have said the big six, you know, Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Islam, Buddhism and Sikhism, and then sometimes humanism started to come into it, right? But now actually we're thinking beyond that. We're thinking about what a worldview, what people's worldviews are. We all hold a worldview, you see. This will explain very nicely. And I think a fantastic video to use in the classroom, perhaps at the beginning of the year or at the beginning of something that you want to unpack with the children, and a really good one for raising those inquiry questions.
What is your view of the world? How do you see things? What makes you who you are? On what do you base your decisions? Why did you react like that? Do you believe in God or a higher power? Or do you see the world as a cocktail of chance and accident? Everyone has a worldview, whether religious or not. Each individual sees the world through a certain lens. It may be shaped by your upbringing, surroundings, or religion, and it can change as you move through life. Worldview can be both personal and organised. It is your attitudes and deeply held beliefs. It shapes how you live. It's important to think about your own worldview. Where do you think truth lies? What about the worldviews of those around you? Do you understand them? They may not be as similar to yours as you expect, or perhaps your worldviews will be more alike. Some people may feel that life is about success and improvement, being the best you can be, and some think it's about helping the most vulnerable in society. Others may believe belonging to a group is vital for finding meaning, while another treasures belonging to the earth in all its beauty. And still, most of us will not see the world through only one lens, but rather through a blend of multiple visions. In an increasingly pluralistic society, understanding the world around us means realizing that there is no neutral perspective. Nobody stands nowhere. Do you know where you stand? Why?
Right. So can I ask, have you had any discussions about worldview with your students? Is that something that is starting to come up in conversation or in lessons, exploring how they see the world? Anyone got any examples of that? Or how you think you might do that? If you were to ask your students about what their worldview is, how do you think they would answer?
I think they'd probably be more inclined to say what their worldview isn't than what it
Right.
is.
Okay.
And I think they'd probably not necessarily be negative, but they'd be more likely to say, I don't believe in this aspect of Sikhism or whatever it is they've studied. And I think they'd be more likely to do that than to actually maybe open up and have what they actually feel themselves and kind of be a bit more insular with it and not, like I said, not deliberately be negative, but think about what they are rather than what they are.
Yeah, I think that's interesting though. I think we're quite if you go back to some early philosophy, and it's Thomas Aquinas was looking at, develops a process called what got known as the via negativa, which was we start by saying what God isn't, and then we eventually move into then stating what we think God is before kind of getting close. It's like a process of narrowing down. But I think that's really interesting that students would tend to err towards the kind of it's like a process of elimination, I guess, isn't it? But there's a bit of like not being, well, I mean, part of our job is starting to give them the environment where they can start to share their ideas. Can I ask, has anyone, are you finding with what you're doing this year that you're able to create a good environment where children can share their thoughts? How do you do that? What sorts of things do you ask them to do in order to create that relationship where they can be open? Has anyone got any good practice they would be prepared to share? Any examples of good RE that you've been doing? All right. Well, I would love to hear about some good RE that you've been doing, but I will continue. Okay, so what I would say is I'd just leave that with the idea that we often tend to look at religions as if they're, this is Sikhism, this is Hinduism, this is Judaism, but actually all human beings do have a view of how they perceive the world and their place in it, and often it's difficult to pigeonholing is not doing sort of full justice to the rich kind of panoply of views that there is within every different religion. There's 5,000 denominations of Christianity, right? People don't agree. They don't all think the same. So this here is just a nice kind of checklist for thinking about how we make worldview, discussion about how students see the world and their place in it, more explicit. So if you're lesson planning, looking at programs of study, schemes of work, then this is quite a nice checklist to use to think about, are we doing these things? Are we weaving these things into it? Worth mentioning, the Humanism website is fantastic for videos on humanism, nicely narrated by Stephen Fry. They managed to novel Stephen Fry, and that has resulted in a really good selection of stuff on the Humanist website. Okay, so the syllabus itself. On this slide, what I've got is I've taken the contents of the syllabus and identified where the pages are to kind of walk you through how you could create, how you can use it to create a good approach. And if you're following a scheme, then this is a good place to kind of cross-reference what you're doing with whether these things are happening. It's linked here is the syllabus itself. So I have put all of the core documents into an open file to put everything in one place, and I'll show you where that is in a moment. So the common questions that people tend to ask about the syllabus itself are the three lenses, which we've talked about briefly. But let's just clarify here, what do we understand from the theology, philosophy, and human social sciences as three lenses? Now, there was some distinct, there was training last year given on each of the three lenses, which two of the videos we've been trying to locate. There's a problem with them, so that they're corrupted. So I re-recorded the philosophy lens training and made that available, which I'll show you where that is in a moment. But what do you understand from a theology lens? Like, what is that? Would anyone mind stating what they understand by a theology lens? To see through a theology goggles, if you like. So, okay, so in brief, if you're seeing through theological lenses, then you're seeing through the history and traditions of the religions. I think we've typically tended to teach RE from a theological perspective. The kind of this is what it is and this is what they do, right? If we're looking through a philosophical lens, then we're asking some bigger questions about the whys and trying to explore the big thoughts and ideas that underpin those beliefs and practices. And the social sciences lens is like, what does this really look like in the real world? So I think if we bring those three together, then we're going to be doing some good RE. I've mentioned religious literacy, and there's just some quick links on there that might be useful to you, including in particularly the Norfolk syllabus. So what Essex did was they imported the Norfolk and adjusted it for Essex. That's quite common practice across agreed syllabi. And what that means, though, is that Norfolk are kind of 3-4 years ahead, and they've developed loads of really good resources to support it. So you can have a look at those. I've also filmed a kind of a walkthrough of those, which is on the kind of the shared resources. So the resources available to support you, you should have received a letter that looked like this. Can I ask, give us a nod or a wave if you've seen anything like this? Okay, so this I've arranged to go out. It's gone out, so it goes out on Essex's kind of platform for schools. And if you're here, it means that someone has picked up on this at some point, I think, or I believe that to be the case. You can access that letter there, and it gives you links to the things that will be really useful for you. So NatRe membership was mentioned in twice, I think, today already, and that's such good support for you. It's kind of the best thing that you can do for RE in your school is to get yourself NatRe membership. Can I ask, is anybody a member as a school of NatRe? Okay, so this letter kind of tells you what you'd need to do to join NatRe. NatRe is the National Association of Teachers for Religious Education, and it is superb for support for you. So it's £170 a year, which is, whilst it's a chunk, at the same time it will give you so much support, and I think I'll answer a lot of questions for you, but highly recommend that. So in terms of resources, here, this is just a screenshot of the Google Drive file that I've been using to put slides from sessions like this and other video walkthroughs of how to do certain things. So if you're thinking, what's the best way to build an inquiry and where can I learn from Norfolk's resources, there's a video that walks you through that in this location. So that would be a good place to have a look to get things that you might need. So this here will to give you a link to the Norfolk resources, and so you can find your way to their webpage and all of the different inquiries. They've done knowledge builders, they've done inquiries, they've got all kinds of links to resources that should help you out. And I think what I'm going to do is kind of plow on through these bits and pieces, and then we can kind of have give you a bit of time to follow some of those links, find the things you're looking for, and come back with any questions, I think, rather than me walking through everything. In terms of places to go for your resources, is anyone part of an RE network? Okay, so that's useful to know. RE Online, are you familiar with RE Online as a website? Okay, I saw a nod there. Sarah, how do you use RE Online? Oh, sorry, you're muted still.
Sorry. Before we got the stuff from Hub Resources, I spent quite a lot of time looking at their online stuff, and finding resources to sort of help teachers with various aspects. I thought it was really good.
The RE Online is maintained by RE teachers and ex-RE teachers, and is built by teachers for teachers. So everything on there you can trust, and that's really important because the internet is big. And there's a lot out there. It's very difficult to establish sometimes what is useful. TrueTube is fantastic, and is an award-winning platform that I highly recommend you take a look at. They create very, very well-produced slick videos and accompanying resources, lesson plans, and so on to support everything more or less. And they also make a point of releasing videos tailored to what's going on in the world. So, you know, it makes sense to do, if you're teaching about Ramadan, to do it during that period. If you're teaching about Christmas, to do it during that period, you know, and they create resources that are kind of tied to the calendar. So the core bits and pieces of the syllabus itself. So we've got 5 things that I just wanted to make sure you're happy with. The lenses we've talked about, and so I just want to have a look at the others. So what I've done in these slides is, again, the syllabus is linked every time, but it tells you what pages to look at and kind of summarizes what's going on. So this is the nice, I've pared it down to as few as possible, but it's a walkthrough of the core components of the syllabus. So the 3 lenses, okay, deliberately teaching through one of those lenses, but of course touching upon the others. You can't talk theology without philosophy and social sciences, and vice versa, but one of those is likely to be the driving force. When you're thinking about your lesson objectives, they're likely to be tied to more to one of those aspects. And when you're the way that the syllabus is recommending that you should build your inquiries throughout the year is a series of 5 to 6 lessons, exploring a big question and unpicking that. Page 18 of the syllabus gives you the kind of step 1 to 6 even of creating or checking that you've got a nicely coherent and balanced curriculum. So if you're looking to check your current provision, then that would be the place to have a look to start. There are core questions that, and so we're talking about big questions, we're talking about inquiry. So we're having big questions that underpin our lessons. And these pages 19 to 22 give you those questions. The blanks are where you insert the name of the religion, because obviously you choose what best fits your school in terms of the religions that you're teaching. In terms of core knowledge, the syllabus gives you on page 23 to 30 gives you this kind of, this is the things that we should be teaching at different key stages. So in terms of kind of teacher development, you checking your own subject knowledge and so on, this is a really good place to start. And so you might kind of start here, and then you might take yourself over to BBC Bitesize and then RE Online in order to develop your subject knowledge of a particular area. And I say bite-size because it's really chunked down. You could look at Key Stage 2 or Key Stage 3 BBC Bitesize. It gives you a really nice intro. And then you could even look onto Key Stage 4 if you want to get push it a little bit further. And I'm filming at the moment some walkthroughs of this knowledge to explain what all of these things are, in order that you can then kind of make an informed decision about what you might want to look into. Because if you've no idea what the Moor Mantra is, then you don't know whether you want to push it any further. So I'm doing sort of walkthroughs of those for you. So the idea is that your year would comprise 5 inquiries, okay, with a series of each one comprising 5 or 6 lessons that are kind of taking us through the whole year. And then this is an example. This is a screenshot of an exemplar curriculum that the syllabus contains. So it shows you there's a mix of the theology questions here. So what do Jewish people remember on the Shabbat? What does the cross mean? See, these are kind of factual, they're lived experience as well, but there's the kind of the nuts and bolts of the religion. Then the blue is the philosophical element. How did the universe come to be from a Hindu and Christian perspective? What do my senses tell me about the world? So these are coming with philosophy being the driver for that. and then you can see the green is social sciences. How does celebration bring a community together? So the idea is that you have a kind of a balance of types of inquiry throughout the year with these big questions as the driving force behind them. So I've mentioned the other support there is during the year. And so I think probably the thing to do now is to give you a little bit of time to ask any questions, to explore some of those links. If you're looking for subject knowledge, can I ask that you go and take a look at maybe open up the syllabus and take a look at the knowledge building questions, perhaps. Take a look at RE Online and TrueTube. If you are looking for what resources, you might want to have a look at my Google Drive links. So I'll just post my links to my slides in the chat again, and stop sharing. And then we can sort of use this time to help you with anything that you want some help with. Okay. Oh, sorry. So I haven't been keeping an eye on the chat there. Right. So. Okay, Harry, hopefully you've got some stuff to be getting on with there. And oh, Harry, you asked about how long each session should be. So that would be, if we're looking at five to six. I mean, I think how long is a lesson? I mean, I guess if you would looking at something around the hour to 90-minute mark, ideally. And if you're talking about 5 or 6, you're talking about an hour a week, really, aren't you? To develop RE, to create an inquiry that runs over 5 to 6. Doesn't mean if you can give it more time, that's great. But I think you could probably do one of those inquiries on an hour a week, or you could, combine that time. Right, so I'm going to come back to your, I think everyone's got access to the slides. So if you can check that you can get to the linked stuff, and then I'm just going to kind of go around everybody as you do some exploring and see what you're looking at and see what's coming up. So Sarah, what you were looking for top tips for teachers. What are you exploring now? Oh, sorry, you're muted there.
Yeah, I'm going to look at the RE Online again and the TrueTube, because I think that will give everyone a really good basis from which to start.
TrueTube, it's free to get. You need to log in, but it's free. And once you're in, you can get all those lesson plans, and have a look at Charlie and Blue, by the way. Charlie and Blue is a lovely series they created, and it's like puppets interactive. Anyway, you'll see, it's really good. And the resources they create, it's all there. You just print the lot, they've got the pictures and everything. It's lovely. And their lesson planning is very good quality stuff. Neil, what are you exploring? Oh, sorry, Neil, you're...
Sorry, I'd opened a different tab. Similarly, I'm just having a look at the resources and kind of like the idea that there's things in there, just the good quality stuff that we can pull out. And actually, as a school, thinking, sort of streamlining where we get ideas and subject knowledge from, so that we get some sort of consistency throughout, rather than every single person getting it from a dozen different sources and almost trying to get something that's got that continuity, and during and from unit to unit there's some sort of link that the children start recognizing the way things are and the way things are done.
Yeah,
so we could use that.
That's really, really important. I think if you go to BBC Bitesize, RE Online, TrueTube, and use that for the core for your resources, then you'd probably be able to get enough out there. Natre have got how to check, whether your resources are good or not. It's like a checklist they created that's quite useful for looking for bias and stuff like that. But yeah, that seems like a good plan. When I've finished doing the kind of the knowledge walkthrough, that might be quite helpful as well for kind of, and we're looking at linking resources, that people, sort of curating a set of resources that you can then access. But I'm just grabbing the link for Norfolk and putting that into the chat, because, and it's probably worth just sharing my screen for a moment and just showing you. And again, I've done a long a long video walking through the Norfolk stuff, but let me just share this here. Okay, so this is the Norfolk website I've just put in the chat, and if you scroll down, there's loads of good stuff at the top here, but if you get down to here, what they give you are inquiries they've actually developed, and these are, there's loads, but if we take a look at one, so here's a year 3 philosophy inquiry, and you'll be able to see from the syllabus where they've picked up those I don't have Word on this computer. Let's see if it'll let me do it here. I want to put it all in notes. Okay, so I should have used another computer. I'm using a Mac with no Word on it. But each of these, if you have a look at one of these, it's a beautiful walkthrough of everything that you would need to deliver that inquiry, and it's really, really effective. So I'd highly recommend getting over and having a look at what they've done to support you. Janine, how are you doing? What are you looking at the moment?
I was just going to have a look at the RE mark, just to see, because being new kind of to the role, and we've got that scheme, I don't think I'll push other resources on staff, because I think with the Saffron Walden scheme, I've just said for the minute for them just to have a look at that and get used to it.
The Saffron, the way they've developed it, I've seen their sample resources, and that they've definitely used RE experts to help to develop that. Just make sure that you're kind of, if you're in charge of it, then you can just do the cross-referencing and make sure you're getting there, and then maybe once you're comfortable, then we can look at how to enhance that even further. Would be really good. Okay. And Sharon, how's it going? What are you looking at?
Just looking at, as I said, we use Plan B, and it's not very Key Stage 1. And then we looked at as I say, some are tried in the Saffron Trust, but you're saying about the Norfolk one. I just wanted to see before we change a scheme.
Yeah,
just wanted to be sure what works well.
Yeah, so Norfolk have developed resources which support the Essex one, because it's the same. It's almost exactly the same. It's just that Essex have put an enhanced emphasis on worldviews rather than they've moved. It's just a tweak that makes more sense for Essex. But yeah, that sounds like
because we found RE is not really manageable with some of the what's expected of RE. I mean, we do teach it a lot in the school, but some of the schemes, it's just not manageable with everything else on the curriculum. So I don't overload staff to think they've got to be doing more work.
Yeah. So we definitely need to find a way to make it as straightforward as possible. No one's got time, have they? Well, take a look at. I think if you, in terms of Plan B, I haven't looked in great detail at Plan B. I think my colleague Ruth probably would know it a bit better. So that you're thinking about a departure from that at the moment.
Yeah. It's not working well in Key Stage. We're looking to moving away from it, but it was a good starting point.
Yeah.
Because we didn't.
I'm just down the road from you. I live on the border of Lee and Hadley. So I can, if ever you wanted to chat in more detail, I'm sure we could, find an opportunity to drop in and give you a hand if that was useful.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
So who have we got left here who's running the SAT scheme? That's Sarah, and who else is doing
Shireen doing the Saffron Academy Trust one.
Oh yeah, so hang on, I've got myself mixed up because oh, it's Sarah. Sorry, Sarah. Yeah. And what are you you wanted top tips for teachers. How are you doing on that, do you think? How do you think that we've managed to cover some of that today? Oh, I've lost you, Sarah. Okay. I was going to suggest. Oh, hang on. Now I'm really confused. So, hang on, Sarah. You are. I've got your face on one, and then I've got. Oh no, it's Shireen. Of course. Sorry,
Sorry, Shireen.
Shireen. It's because you and
camera
Sarah have got the same initials, and I thought, hang on. This really threw me. I thought, how is it? The quirk of Zoom. No, Shireen, it's absolutely fine. So, Shireen, you're doing the SAT, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything that you're looking for today that you don't feel you've got like a next step for? Because obviously, I'm giving you a huge amount of like, you know, it's
resources. Do you know what it is? I'm teacher year 1 at the moment, and we have found that some of the resources aren't sort of particularly accessible for the children. I mean, the video you just suggested, it was Charlie. Is it Charlie in Blue?
Yeah.
We just watched those. They were lovely, but we were looking at Hinduism and puja, and we couldn't sort of bring it down to the children's level enough for them to sort of engage with it. So I'm trying to look for more, not just online resources, but things that we can actually have in school. I mean, we've got artifacts and things, something that the children can really engage with. So that's yeah. So
I mean, I think that puja is a really good one. So have you ever been to the Neasden Temple in North London?
No, I haven't.
They are super school friendly, and they've got a very nice kind of arrangement for bringing schools in and getting them to see things. So if you were, you know, inclined, that would be fabulous. But what they do have is, of course, loads of you can find lots of their resources of films of videos online of the worship that takes place there. So it's Neasden Temple, Neasdon, and that would give you a good intro to. They've got some good videos on puja that they put online, but I think Bite Size has got some good stuff on puja. I thought, but I think demonstrating.
I'll definitely look at Neasden Temple. I have heard of it, and I know a few friends who actually visit there.
Yeah.
So we'll have a look into it. It's not even the videos and things. You know how you can sort of bring to life other subjects by taking them to places in the school or bringing artifacts in to really bring it to life. That's what I'm looking for, just for year 1 at the moment, because obviously that's the year I teach. So
I mean, the puja, for example, is it's all about engaging all of the senses, right? So I think that if you can do something with them that engages all of their senses, then you've got a sidestep then into almost every bit of religious worship which engages all of the senses. So it could be, you could do exploring anything. I mean, you might start with, have you ever done any mindfulness? You ever done the raisin? It's that sort of mindfulness 101 where you hold a raisin in your hands, and if you search for, if you don't know what this is, Shireen, then if you just look for the raisin mindfulness, and then I do a bit of mindfulness teaching, but this is in every mindfulness course, and you would give everyone a raisin, and what you sniff it, you roll it around in your ear, you spend quite a long time with this raisin before you put it in your mouth, and then you gently you bite it, and you
do all those things, yeah, of course.
Sorry.
And do all of those. We did something very similar, but with chocolate, with the children who had no allergies, obviously, but it's very difficult these days.
Yeah, you do. You've got to check. You've got to check. But
chocolate,
if you do something like that, of course, the point is paying real attention, right? Engaging all of the senses, and then you've got a sidestep into worship from there, and you could get into maybe puja from that.
Yeah, lovely.
Okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pop into the chat the link to the form that would enable me to collect your information, and what I'd really like to do is just create a group where I can just send you stuff, but it would just let us know some bits and pieces that would be really helpful in supporting you. Just check I've got that. Lovely. Okay. There we go. And then just to ask, I'd just be really interested to know before we finish what your next steps are. What are you going to do next to kind of move RE on in your school? So Sarah, what's your next step, do you think?
Well, I think we need to do some more work about the different lenses. I think we sort of know that the lenses exist, but I don't think we're using the lenses to teach the RE. So I think we've got to sort of come back to that and make sure we all understand what that means and how each inquiry is therefore different.
Brilliant. Okay. Can I recommend that you take a look at the link here to it's one of a Google Drive file, and it contains lots of videos, and one of them is about the philosophy lens and exactly what that is, and that's the one that people struggle with the most. So that might be a really good starting point, and of course there's lots of reference to the syllabus itself. Okay, and Sharon, what's your next step, do you think?
We're trialing, as I said, the Saffron scheme this half term with a few year bands, and I'll see how that works. But I'm going to have a look at the Norfolk one, because obviously with the budget for paying for things, we need to get the best one. So I might see if I can get a trial of the Norfolk scheme.
Let me just correct you a little bit there, Sharon. So the Norfolk is not anything that you pay for. It's the same as Essex. It's the agreed syllabus, so it's free. You got it. So you don't have to pay for that. What Saffron have done is they've taken the Essex syllabus and they've then developed resources to support it. Okay.
All right.
So if the Essex syllabus you've got, it's all yours, and that's my job this year is to kind of to try and help people to access it. And if you go to the Norfolk website that I linked there, what they've done is they've developed loads of resources, and it's the same as Essex basically. So you would be able to draw upon those resources to deliver the Essex. If you go to the link that I've put into the chat to the Google Drive, you'll find a walkthrough of how to create an inquiry, and that kind of it sort of shows you a lot of that stuff there. If you
I think what we're finding though is because of all the other subjects and it's the time, it's not that we want
an off the shelf is what
a scheme that they can adapt to their class, so to have a starting point rather than starting from scratch. And that's found, which is why RE wasn't being taught consistently sometimes.
Well, the SAT might get you. It will get you started fast. Just check that you're doing what you need to do. Okay, that's great. Neil, what's your next step then, do you think?
I think it's looking at and then sharing the resources just to try and get a sort of consistent trained approach and getting that subject knowledge all from the same place so it's coherent from unit to unit.
I think if you're looking for consistency, TrueTube might really help you there because they give you those lesson plans to support the lesson. So you might trial that and see if everyone delivers it in a similar way and if that gets you what you want to achieve. Great, thank you. And Janine, what's your next step?
I think I just need to speak to staff and actually see how they're getting on with the new scheme, because as I say, we've literally just started it as in a couple of weeks ago. So just see, because obviously the older children won't have done anything to do with it. So how they're finding jumping in at that level, obviously without any prior learning, and also how they're finding it. One of our problems was that previously RE wasn't taught as often, so probably every other week. So we weren't getting enough RE lessons in. So that is the other thing for us, is managing people's timetables along with all the other expectations, and just seeing if they're getting through their inquiry units.
Yeah, and you might end up having to kind of slim things down a little bit, mightn't you, in order so that everybody can kind of get to where you want them to get to.
So that was one of the things that we had to look at before we could even start it, really, because if I presented them with like the 6 or 5 weeks that the Saffron one gave them, people would never have fitted it in. So we've just had a look at how they could kind of just take out just one of the lessons and see if that helps them to get to it. But then we also need to see, well, actually, do you still get to the same end point by not teaching that one lesson? So it's going to be this year. I think it's just going to be a bit of a trial and see how we get on with that.
Well, that's really interesting. I mean, I think if you would come and attend one of the meetings after half term and let us know where you've gotten to, that would be really interesting. And it might be good to compare people's stages at that point. We've had a good go of embedding. Harry, maybe you just want to put in the chat what your next step is. And Shireen, what are you going to be looking at next?
I'm going to have a look and see how everybody's getting on with this Saffron scheme. As I said before, I've just taken it over from someone who's gone on maternity leave, and they've just brought it in as a school. So I need to see if it's working again, and how everybody's finding it and fitting it in. Like, sorry, I've forgotten your name. The person who said before, was it Janine? Yeah, you said before how if everybody's fitting it in, and if we have to cut a lesson as well, because like you said, people have a lot to do in those few lessons in the afternoon. So trying to fit everything in and seeing if it works for everybody.
Yeah, I think that would be really good to hear maybe after half term, once people have had a chance to regroup and check in with teachers, and inquiry should have finished by that point, to see what that's like. So, you know, if you attend one after half term, then please do make a point of waving your hand in the air and letting us know you got some feedback.
Yeah, I will do.
Lovely. Okay, and thanks, Harry, for sharing that. That's giving the time it needed. It's so important. A national entitlement to RE. You know, children have got that, and they should get it. Okay, it's 5 o'clock. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm happy to hang around if you've got any questions or you want to think anything specific. But otherwise, if you could fill out that form for me to let me know, you know, what's going on with you, and then I can, you know, hopefully help you out. Have a lovely evening, and hope to see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you
So much.
Thanks.